I've gone over quite a few reports recently that proves something may soon give with the memory crisis, from China's premier memory maker getting close to outputting as much as Micron to some serious concerns over AI spending, to which Google, Tesla, and other companies' stocks have been plummeting just recently thanks to concerns over that spending. Now, I mention all of this to say that it still isn't over. It obviously takes time. Until then, Nvidia is reportedly raising prices on GPU makers, so you can expect to pay even more. But before I get to that, to help offset these absurd memory prices and to celebrate the launch of my free weekly newsletter, Meld Bytes, I'm giving away this 32GB G-Skill Trident Z5 DDR5 6400 kit to one lucky subscriber. All you have to do is head over to meldbytes.com, enter your email address, and you're automatically entered. You'll have the option to financially support the newsletter, which I definitely appreciate, but it won't increase your odds of winning. And free subscribers still get the full weekly newsletter, where I cover the biggest PC hardware stories, industry insights, and much more. Once again, that's meldbytes.com. Now back to the story. According to a new report from BenchLife, Nvidia has officially notified its graphics card partners that they're increasing the price of the GPU kits that they purchase. And these kits don't just include the GPU itself. They typically combine the actual graphics processor with the memory needed to build the card. Companies like ASUS, MSI, Gigabyte, and Zotac then use those components to create the final PCB, cooler, and graphics card that you ultimately buy. So as memory becomes more expensive, Nvidia is now reportedly passing at least some of that additional cost directly onto its partners. And unfortunately, this isn't only affecting the highest-end graphics cards. Nvidia reportedly raised the kit prices for the RTX 5090 and China's 5090D V2 back in May. But according to the latest report, the new increase now extends to additional GeForce products using both GDDR7 and the older GDDR6 memory. That means this could affect most of the 50 series, along with the GDDR6 based 5050 and potentially some remaining RTX 40 series cards. Luckily, there is a news story that proves companies can't just raise prices as much as they want. This is probably something you hear a lot, that companies can charge whatever they want, but that's simply not true. Case in point, Valve's Steam Deck. Back in May, Valve massively increased the price of both Steam Deck OLED models, blaming rising memory and storage costs. The 512GB model went from $549 to $789. That's a 44% increase. Meanwhile, the 1TB version jumped from $649 all the way up to $949, or nearly $1,000 for a Steam Deck. And according to new analysis from Boiling Steam, customers may have responded exactly how you'd expect, by simply not buying them. Now, Valve doesn't publish exact weekly Steam Deck sales, so these aren't official numbers. Instead, the estimate is based on Steam's weekly revenue rankings, the estimated revenue generated at each position, and the Steam Deck's new average selling price. Before the increase, the Steam Deck was estimated to sell somewhere between 11,000 and 18,000 units per week. Afterwards, that reportedly fell to between just 1,400 and 3,000 units, a potential decline of up to 82%. I'm talking about going from 4th to 5th place all the way down to between 10th and 15th. Now, it has slightly recovered since, as it currently sits at 9th place, but that's still a huge drop from its earlier placing. We're actually talking about potentially millions of dollars worth. And this is a perfect example of what happens when prices rise beyond what enough customers are willing to pay. They charge what the market can bear. What that means is that they'll keep raising prices until the extra profit on each item is no longer enough to offset the customers who simply stop buying. And in this case, they only raise the prices to offset their own costs. So this price increase has absolutely hurt them. AMD just confirmed that not only are they going to make a massive leap with Ryzen 10,000, but they're going to do it again with Ryzen 11,000, or whatever it's called. And I'm not talking about a little change here either, but a massive manufacturing leap so big that it's considered a new era of nodes. And that's right after Zen 6 makes one of its own giant leaps. So let's just get right to the new information from AMD, and I'll tell you what it all means. Starting things off, as you can see here, AMD shared a new CPU CPU roadmap, which now goes all the way up to their Zen 8 family in 2030. Now, while this is clearly for their server CPUs, it still applies to their desktop parts because they use the same core complex. Remember, that's the entire point of combining multiple smaller chiplets into one CPU, to easily scale from lower-end parts all the way up to their highest-end server chips. And as you can see, AMD's upcoming Zen 6-based Venice processors are listed as the company's first CPUs to use the 2nm technology. That alone is a massive leap forward, because the current Zen 5 compute dies are built on TSMC's 4nm process, so AMD is effectively skipping over 3nm and moving directly to TSMC's cutting-edge N2 node with Zen 6. But then, just 2 years later, AMD lists its Zen 7-based Florence processors, once again featuring both the standard Zen 7 and denser Zen 7C cores, and directly underneath that, AMD says that Florence will use a quote, next-generation process node. So AMD has now confirmed that Zen 7 will make another process node jump immediately after Zen 6 moves to 2nm. And because they use the same standard compute chiplet across its desktop and server processors, this also confirms that the desktop version of Zen 7 will move to that newer node. Now, AMD hasn't officially named the node yet, but a separate report from Taiwan's Commercial Times claimed that AMD's Zen 7 compute die, codenamed Grimlock, will be manufactured using TSMC's A14 process. And the timing lines up almost perfectly. Zen 7 Florence is scheduled for 2028, which is also when TSMC expects A14 to enter production. And if you were wondering, A14 is a seriously big jump. The A stands for angstrom, with 14 angstrom converting to 1.4 nanometers. Of course, that doesn't mean the transistors literally contain a specific part measuring anywhere near 1.4 nanometers. Modern process names are mostly marketing terms and haven't represented one exact transistor measurement for a long time. But TSMC moving from its traditional N branding to angstrom branding is still important. It's basically the company's way of signaling that it considers this a major new era of semiconductor manufacturing, and technically A14 is 2 named process generations after the original N2 node, because TSMC also has A16 in between them. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call that 2 complete traditional node shrinks. A16 is more of a specialized evolution of the 2nm family that adds backside power delivery, while TSMC describes A14 as the actual full node advancement beyond N2. Regardless, AMD is apparently done with big changes only coming every other generation. It looks like they're going all out every time.